Hey, it's Acacia. Welcome back to the Reflecting Redemption YouTube channel. I'm so glad that you're spending some time with me today. I have a very casual, laid-back video planned for us. Not your typical Monday morning devotion. Those will be back starting next week. I wanted to take a little time out and just tell you about myself and my family. I also wanted to let you know kind of how I got to this point, and then also what the future of my YouTube channel might look like and the plans that I have. So if you're interested, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and stick around. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, I would be so excited if you would subscribe to the channel. It would mean a whole lot to me. It's totally free to you. All right, so let's get to know me just a little bit better. Okay, so I should start out by telling you that I am 28 years old and I have been married for 10 years. Yes, I got married at 18. I might share more about that in another video one day, but for right now, I'm just going to keep it brief. My husband and I fell in love after we graduated high school. We had been best friends for a while, went to prom together, things like that, and we really felt like the Lord had it for us to get married. So we got married. He was 19, I was 18. We were quite young and we were so ready. So my husband now is 29 and we have one son, Elijah. He is 3. We adopted him in 2018. The adoption was finalized in 2019. And I also have plans to share more about that on this channel. And I also am going to share about a big piece of our life, which has been infertility and our journey there. That's coming up in a couple of weeks too. I've always had it in me a desire to pursue writing. Even since I was a little girl, I remember going into my neighbor's yard and I would get my notebooks and my pens and I would climb up into her tree and I would sit there and I would write. Everywhere and anywhere I could find notebook paper and pens and things like that, little journals, notebooks everywhere, so many of them just filled with ideas and things that I like to write about. I like something a little more active. I don't feel like reading holds my attention as long as writing does. It's something that I really love. So ever since I was very young, that's been on my radar, something I'm interested in. And as an adult, my love for writing has kind of manifested in a different way through my faith. And I know that you'll notice that on this channel, you see a lot of faith-based content. That was one of my original purposes in starting this YouTube channel, is I really felt like the Lord was leading me this direction to start this channel, to share vulnerability and to share struggles and my story and things that I've gone through and how the Lord has built up my faith, and to share my testimony and what God's done for me in a public place. So you'll notice pretty quickly that I'm very unapologetic about it. When I first began making my videos on the devotions, I wanted really badly to caveat everything. Then I realized really fast that's just not me. I'm not going to caveat my faith at any point. Because this is my space on the internet and my little piece of real estate. And so I decided from the onset to be very upfront and real about my faith, about my beliefs, and just to let that shine through me. And I found a lot of faith-based creators that's not the main niche of their channel. Their channels have a certain purpose and then their faith is secondary to that, which is totally fine. And I follow a lot of people that are like that. But I really wanted the foundation of my YouTube channel and Reflecting Redemption as a whole to be founded on my faith in Jesus and in the Lord. I am a Christian and I didn't want to shy away from that in any aspect. So I'm very forward with that and very upfront. And a lot of the content that I produce is around my faith, because I found out very early on in life that there's nothing better that I want to talk about. There's nothing better that I want to write about. There's nothing outside of that sphere of God, because He is all encompassing in my life. And I mean that totally genuinely. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I do serve a perfect God, and I know that He is faithful and that this is what He's asked me to do. So I'm just taking it day by day and being obedient. And I feel like a piece of that is just never shying away from the fact that I am a believer and that I do put my trust in the Lord. And that's where my only hope lies. So everything you find, whether it's a renovation video or a vlog of us doing something random, just the heart of all of that is just our gratitude to God and knowing what He's done in our life and knowing how good He is and how faithful He is. So that is just the center of who I am and who my husband is. That's just the foundation point of our life. And so I wanted to build a YouTube channel based on that and have a place on YouTube and on the internet where like-minded women could come and talk about the Lord and talk about the relationship with God, and not to be a controversial place, but to be a very encouraging, uplifting space where if you're on your way to work on a Monday morning, you can turn on a Monday morning devotional and get some encouragement and some thoughts for the day and have somebody that you can interact with and pray with. I just thought maybe that was kind of missing. That was my goal, was just to produce some content and tell the stories, relay the stories of the Bible, which are real accounts, not just stories, and the stories of our lives, the stories of our faith, because I think they have a lot of value. A lot of times we think we're just so small, we're just such a tiny part of the world, and we really are. But what God does in our lives is not tiny, it's really big, and our stories can have a big impact. So that is my goal, is to use this platform to share the story of what God's doing in my life. And it might look a little disconnected just because I've not done this for very long, because on Fridays you get a renovation video, and then on Mondays you get a devotional video, and then on Wednesdays every now and again I'll throw in a random bonus video. So I know it kind of looks like, okay, what is the purpose of this channel? So I just wanted to state it right now. And it all goes back to the origins of Reflecting Redemption. Always loved writing, and back in around 2016, I started to explore and play with this idea of starting a blog. But I had absolutely no clue what I would talk about. I had no clue how I would do it or how it worked, and I still don't know very much about it. But I knew that I did want to talk about my faith. If there was nothing else that I wanted to share about, I wanted to share about the Lord. And at that point, we were going through the depths of infertility. We were struggling with that. My husband had recently been diagnosed with diabetes, falsely diagnosed with type 2, not knowing it was type 1, and he was having some really big health struggles at that time. And we had a lot of interesting points in life to journey through still before I was ready to take this step. But I actually started an account called Working in Faith because I thought maybe that's what I'd call it. I was kind of toying around with what can I call a channel or whatever, what can I call a blog, because I didn't even watch YouTube in 2016. I didn't get into that until I started researching about having a baby and a newborn, and that's when I finally got into YouTube. I was like, oh my goodness, there's all these people making all these videos about their real lives. I'll talk more about that later. But anyway, I wanted to find an outlet to write because I've always loved it. I write our church Christmas plays, I write poetry, I write stories and thoughts and just commentary on God's word and things like that. Not a lot of people see the things that I write. Actually, pretty much nobody until recently has seen things that I like to write. And I thought, okay, life is really short and I'm getting closer to 30. Not that that's ancient or anything, but if I'm going to pursue this, here is my chance, because I'm home now with my 3-year-old. I don't have a full-time job outside of the home. I work in the home, and he has a really solid nap time every day of about 2 to 3 hours, and I can sneak in before and after and things like that. So I thought, let's do this. Let's just try it. Let's try writing. And then coupled with that, my husband and I bought this house that we prayed for 3 years, and we had to do a top to bottom renovation of it. And so we thought, why not start this up and share our renovation in the middle of it, because it's also a way that God has redeemed something in our life, because this house was so far gone. Check those videos out if you haven't already. I'll link the playlist down below. But anyway, we thought, okay, this could be great. And I originally toyed with the idea of having 2 separate channels, one for the renovation and one for the devotionals and the faith-based content. But I decided that, and my husband and I together decided that the best thing for us to do would be to just umbrella it all under Reflecting Redemption. So this is how Reflecting Redemption came to be. It was probably 2.5 years ago, and we were on a work trip with my husband. I can't remember where, Illinois or something like that. Maybe not. Maybe Wisconsin. I can't remember. But my son was taking a nap. We had had a morning out, and I sat down, and I had recently rejoined Facebook. So we had not been in the world of Facebook. This was in, I guess, late 2020. We did not rejoin Facebook until the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, we had a lot of different things shut down, and we were kind of stuck in. And I thought, okay, I want to connect with people. I'm a people person. I want to see what everybody's doing. I want to share with people. And then I was just connected to this world of Facebook after being off of it for 10 years, since we deleted it when we got married, because we just felt like it was a good way for us to just have a fresh start. So then after 10 years off of it, I re-downloaded it and we got an account, and I thought, okay, this is really cool. What can I do in this sphere? So we were on Facebook 3 or 4 months, and then it came to September and we were on that work trip. And I sat down, and I had been toying with this blogging idea, toying with this idea of pursuing writing somehow. And Eli was napping, and he was resting really well. And I was like, let's turn the TV off and just think about this. And I ended up that day, I had written something about adoption, because that was my original thing I was going to start sharing on Facebook. And I created a group. I just made the Reflecting Redemption Facebook group. And at first it was Reflecting Redemption, all talks about adoption, something like that. And then I ended up broadening it outside of just this world of adoption to, let's talk about our faith. Let's talk about the Bible. Let's talk about our thoughts and what God's doing in our life, and let's tell our stories. And I did that for about a year, up until 2021. And I got a lot of friends and family got involved in it, and it was just really enjoyable. I would share something I wrote, I would hear a lot of feedback, and a lot of those people are also subscribers now on the YouTube channel, and that's kind of how it got started. But I don't know where the idea of Reflecting Redemption came from, except from the only thing I can pin it to is my first Christmas with Matt, when we were dating our first year together. He bought me this book that I wanted called It's Not About Me by Max Lucado. And I read it, and the concept of the whole thing was a shift in your focus from a self-centered life to a life focused on the Lord, which was the basic premise of it. And something that really stuck with me from that book was he spoke about how the sun gives the light to the moon, and the moon bears no light of its own. It is just a reflection of the sun. And that stuck with me ever since I read it, is that on our own, we have nothing but that illumination from the Lord. He can pour that into our life and use us to reflect His redeeming qualities, His redeeming grace. So I guess that's where it came from, and it just the Lord put it in my mind, Reflecting Redemption. And that's the whole purpose of my life, is to be a reflection of the redeeming love, the redeeming grace, and just the redemption of Jesus, of the Lord through Jesus. So Reflecting Redemption was born in that hotel room while Eli napped and Matt worked, and it came to life. And so I pursued it for a year on Facebook, and the group is still active, but I've made it private since coming to this forum. I just can't keep up with it now because I'm trying to shift it over to a larger platform, which has had its challenges. But anyway, so in 2021, after we had toyed and kind of messed around with this idea for a while, I've done some research. I had listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of videos and things about starting a blog and starting a YouTube channel. And I'm an overanalyzer. I like to read everything about it, study about it, think on it, pray on it for ever. I just like can sink in research and never get out of that analysis paralysis thing that they talk about. I would stay in analysis paralysis because I'm just like analyzing. And my husband's like, do it, just do it, just do it. And he's extremely supportive, by the way. He actually is one of the main reasons that I'm doing this, because without him, I don't think I would have the confidence to just do it. And I don't know why that is. I don't know. It's a very personal thing. When you turn on your camera, like I'm sitting here in my bedroom by myself, and it's one thing, but when I start editing this and I look at all my flaws, I see maybe my teeth don't look the way I want them to look, my voice sounds weird, my face looks too chubby. Like, you start picking yourself apart, and then you start thinking, okay, am I causing trouble? Am I controversial? Am I making people upset? What do the people in the secular world think of me? What do the people in the Christian world think of me? And it's just really weird. It's a really weird feeling. So if it hadn't been for the Lord really prompting my heart to do this, and then my husband being really confident and supportive, I would have never pursued it, because it wouldn't be in my wheelhouse. I would have never got past the initial shock of sharing my face on the internet. But as I've boiled that down, I realized God made my face, and he made my teeth, and he made me, and he is glorious, and I'm made in his image. And so I will be confident and thankful for what God made me to be and how I look today. And my voice sounds the way that he planned for it to sound, and my hair looks the way he planned for it to look. So I'm just going to rest in that. But it's hard to get past those vanity aspects of it, because you see all of the beautiful people on YouTube, and I'm like, are these people in their houses, or are they supermodels? What is going on the internet today? I don't understand. But I don't know. I know I'm probably very homely, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. But anyway, getting past those things and just focusing on my real purpose here and why I feel led in this direction. Ultimately, my goal is to pursue writing. My goal is to pursue storytelling, telling my story and what God's done, and hopefully sharing other people's stories of faith and God's work in their life, and just sharing a very real growing relationship with God, and not something fake, not something that's stagnant. I want to share just the very real look of it. And I'm not perfect, as I said, obviously. And so I don't want to come off hypocritical at all. But in this day and age, the church is judged so harshly because people aren't perfect. And I think what we have to do is deconstruct the idea that people are meant to be perfect, and reconstruct the idea that God is perfect and he's working in all of us, and that he's slowly pulling things out of our lives, refining us constantly, stretching us and pulling us, and then resting us, and then stretching and pulling and resting. It's like the constant cycle that God is going through in our lives, in my life particularly. And so I just want up front for everybody to know that I'm not like a perfect crowned saint. I'm trying to grow, and I'm trusting the Lord. And this is a real walk with God. And this is not put on or fake. This is legitimately my life. This is what my life centers around. It's my walk with the Lord. And it's very intimate to share that online. You open yourself up to scrutiny, and rightfully so. I mean, there's a comment section for a reason. I haven't got any ugliness or anything so far. But I do know that maybe my faith keeps people from wanting to stick around, and that's okay. It's not for everybody. I understand that. But I did want to just give some background on how I got to here. So I'll quickly share my testimony with you, and I'll do another dedicated video to this in the future. It's on my list. But when I was 6 years old, and I know that sounds extremely young, it was, but when I was 6 years old, I was at church with my grandparents, and it was the church that I grew up in. And I was on the end of the row by myself, and I don't remember the sermon. I don't particularly remember anything from that day, except for when we bowed to pray during the altar call, and the hymn was being sung. I don't know, pick a hymn. I don't know what was being sung. I know that in my heart, I could feel the Lord drawing me to come to the altar and to accept Jesus as Savior. I'd grown up in church. I had been through all of it and experienced the sermons and the messages. I didn't have a very deep and rich understanding of God at that point, but I had a working knowledge of the fact that we are all sinners and that we need a Savior. And it was very simple in my mind, and that the Lord was drawing me and calling me to come and give my life to Him, and that I was to go to the altar and to pray and to give my life to Christ. And I felt this burning need to do that. And immediately, as that need sets in and that drawing and conviction really sat in, I immediately could hear Satan saying, "This is ridiculous. You don't need to go up there. There's absolutely nothing for you up there." But I did it anyway. So I stepped out. I was only 6. I know my grandfather and another older gentleman in the church met me at the altar. My pen got stuck in his hair. Like, I remember it so vividly. And I was just crying, and I wanted to be saved. I wanted to know Jesus. I wanted Him in my heart. And I just felt so convicted that I was supposed to give my life to God that day. And I did. And then I was baptized shortly after that. That was back in March of 2000. And I had no idea at the time what my life was going to look like. I was only 6, 7. By the time I was 10, everything was pretty much an upheaval in my life. Not of my own doing, but just coming from a broken home, parents getting divorced, lots of different things happening within my life, lots of different traumatic experiences that I walked through. God knew when I was 6. He knew, and I'm so thankful for grandparents that took me to church and who introduced me to Jesus. And my grandfather took me to tent revivals and singings, and I always wanted to go with him. Whenever church was available, I wanted to be there, because I loved it. I just loved it as a kid. And I'm so thankful that he was faithful to do that, because without that, I just don't know where I would be today. I have no clue. But it's very obvious to me that God used that early in my life, and He saved me early for a purpose, because He knew, He had the foreknowledge of the mistakes that other people were going to make. I wasn't protected from those mistakes, but He was with me through them. And He knew what I was going to have to face as a young preteen and a teen, all the things that I was going to walk through in life. God knew that, and He saw that, and He had compassion on me, and He had compassion on my situation, and He drew me early for that purpose. And then I'll skip through all of that, but when I was 18 and I met my husband, well, we had met when we were 12 and 13, but when I met my husband, in the fact that I knew he was going to be my husband, we really rededicated our lives to the Lord. And we even had a Sunday where we actually went to the altar and rededicated to the Lord again, and just refreshed our commitment as adults, as 18-year-old man and woman at that point, and refreshed our commitment to Christ. And ever since then, it has been my desire to serve Him in whatever way He would have me to do that. And we've faced a lot of obstacles along the way. We have faced infertility. We've faced financial difficulties, going through college, difficulties in our workplaces and jobs, adoption, and a lot of difficulties in the midst of adoption. So we faced a lot of things, and that refreshing commitment to the Lord was very necessary to give us the fortitude and the wherewithal to walk through the life that God knew was coming to us. And no, I don't think God plans the bad things, but He does allow them, and He is faithful through them. So I'm here to share that struggle, to share that reality, and to share the ever-presence of God in an ever-changing world with you in that So I really look forward to diving more into some more devotionals and spending more time in that, and also sharing all of our Cottage Homestead stuff. So let's talk about that for a second, because I've talked about Reflecting Redemption and all the plans that I have there, devotionals and books, hopefully, and I want to share our adoption story through book form one day. So let's talk about Cottage Homestead for a second. We toyed around with what to call it. We thought maybe Take Me Home was originally the name for the channel that we were going to do dedicated to it, and Highway Homestead, because we actually are right on the highway. We sit back from it, but our property butts up with the highway, which is not ideal if you're looking for a homestead, but it's where God has placed us, and we're just doing our thing very publicly right here. So anyway, we talked about Highway Homestead, 1 acre homestead, things like that. Ultimately, we landed on Cottage Homestead. The cottage feel is what we've strove for throughout our entire renovation. Just the greenery and the flowers and the muted tones, but also the florals and the old charm and the old English type feel, and the growing gardens and the window boxes and overgrown look. So that's kind of what we've gone with, the warm wood tones contrasting with some whites and drapery and things like that. So we're really trying to bring those warm cottage vibes into our house and just make it our little cottage homestead. We don't have sweeping farmhouse plans, although I absolutely love to follow people that do. We have refined our plans down to a very basic, wanting a garden that feeds our family through the year, the majority of our food coming from that garden. That would be wonderful. That's very picturesque and ideal, isn't it? There's a lot of hard work that goes into that. Also, some laying hens. We only need 5. We only have 3 members of our family so far. So we only need the 5 laying hens. And then we want to butcher meat chickens twice a year and do our own bone broth and our own chicken and have our meat supply. I also want honeybees, so we have a source of honey. I am attempting to grow wheat for the first time this winter. We're going to try some hard red winter wheat. So we'd like to have a sustainable supply of wheat. And then ultimately, I want a milk cow. I've researched it to death. I would love to have a milk cow. So we'll see where that goes. Fruit trees, berry bushes, strawberries, blueberries, kind of starting to look into permaculture, learn about forest food and growing a forest garden, things like that. So those are all on the Cottage Homestead list. Really just wanting to share us and our journey of beginning this process at 28 and 29 of setting up this 1 acre homestead. It's small, but it's a flat piece of land. So yeah, we just wanted to share that journey and remaking my whole thoughts on food, my thoughts on organic eating. That's all part of what's coming on our channel and how I'm working toward those things and what my new goals are as I enter into a new phase of life. I feel like we are at a new phase. We're here in this house, we're settled. And of course, we're still sharing our renovation and we haven't got to the end of that yet. We're back in March of 2021 right now on that journey. But anyway, just showing you all how we have come to this place and set this up and doing it all for the glory of God and to just show our piece of life and how we live and God's faithfulness to us. So that was really chatty. It's like 31 minutes. I don't know. Let me know genuinely if you've come to this point, if you've watched this long, give the video a thumbs up just to let me know that it's something you're actually interested in, me chatting with you in this very casual format and just sharing about my life. If you like this, give it a thumbs up because I enjoy this because I'm a rather chatty person, but I don't want to put up a bunch of videos like this in the future if everybody's like, that is so boring. I just want to say again, thank you for being here. That's kind of the evolution of how we came to this point, and a little bit of background about ourselves. Okay, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and check out our other videos. I'm really thankful that you would be here and view our channel. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.